Hey folks, John here, I'll Hickory Forge, welcome back. So what's going on today is a project I've been wanting to try for a while, and it's one I'm really excited about. What I got here, very fine 1084 powder steel. What I got here are ball bearings. What I got here is a piece of square tubing coated in white out on the inside, a little 3/4 inch square peg to hold on to it. I'm going to try to make some Canister Damascus. If you don't know what Canister Damascus is, basically you combine powder steel and some other material. I'm just using ball bearings because I think it'll look cool when it's done. You combine that in a canister to create an airtight environment. You heat it up to forge welding temperature and you forge weld it into a solid billet. You know, it's something I've wanted to try for a while, but just haven't gotten around to. And today I'm going to do it, so we'll see what happens. And just like on my last Damascus video, if you're one of those people who's like, oh, real Damascus was made in the Middle East and Syria and this, that, and the other, and that's just pattern welded such and such, miss me with that nonsense. If you get in these comments acting up with some BS like that, you're gonna get blocked, and you're not gonna get to see all the awesome content I put out. So keep your wits about you. Alrighty, never done this before, so I'm gonna take some of my powdered steel. How cool is that? But we'll drop that in there. And we'll throw in some ball bearings. I only bought 200 of these, so I don't want to lose any. Oh, dropped one. Then we'll throw in some more powdered steel. Then what we need to do is tap the sides of the canister to vibrate all the powdered steel to the bottom, hopefully fill in all the gaps. So, got my canister filled up, packed down pretty good. I've got my cap seated in. You don't want this, you don't want to just weld a piece onto the end. You want this to be recessed inside the canister so that when you compress this, it doesn't just want to pop off. And I'm going to leave a little pinhole in the end so that any moisture or gases that are in there can escape when this thing's heated. I've seen it done both ways. Some people leave a pinhole, some people weld up the whole thing. If this doesn't work, maybe the next one I'll try welding up the whole thing and see what happens. But let's give it a go. So, got my canister weld up. I left that bottom left corner a little bit of a gap. Nothing's coming out of it though, so I'm not worried about anything coming out during the forging, but it should allow any moisture or gases that are in there to escape. So next thing, I'm just going to throw this thing in the forge and let it come up to welding heat, and I'm really going to let it soak. Like, I'll bring this side up to welding heat, turn it, let it soak, turn it, let it soak, turn it, let it soak. Every single one of those little pieces of powdered steel and ball bearings has to be at welding heat, or this thing's just not going to take, so it's not something you can rush. Into the fire we go. And once that thing gets up to welding heat, I'm going to let it soak for about 5 minutes per side, just to make sure it's heated all the way through before I try to weld it. Alright, this thing's soaked for 20 minutes at welding heat, 5 minutes per side. If that's not at welding heat, I don't know what is. So what I'm going to do, the billet needs to be compressed from both sides at first, so I'm going to hammer, turn 90 degrees, hammer, and try to kind of compress it in on itself so that it doesn't just spread out. If it just spreads out, you could potentially get cracks around the edges. So that's what I'm about to do. I don't know what's going to happen when I hit this thing, so let's give it a go. First side. It actually felt really good. It felt really solid. So anyway, we'll just go back for some more welding heat. So I'll probably do that 2 or 3 more times, and then just hammer this thing flat, and we'll see what we got. So, moving right along, forging this thing down, keeping it at welding heat, and it's actually forging really beautifully. It feels like one piece of steel. And you can see the canister is kind of bulging out on the sides. Maybe you can't see, but I'm hoping what that means is the whiteout worked, and the mild steel canister isn't welded to the good steel. And that'll make extracting our billet a lot easier. So, here's our billet out of the forge. It's about, I'm guessing about 1 inch wide, 1/2 inch thick, and about 6 inches long. So, it's going to take a while for that to cool down to where we can handle it. But we'll cut off the ends, and if the whiteout worked well, we should be able to just chisel off the canister, grind our billet clean, etch it, and see what we got. Bandsaw was taking forever, so I went through with a grinder. But it's looking like we got some good steel in there. So I've just cut a slit in one end, and we're going to try to go in here with a chisel and pry this canister off. So just moving along. peeling this canister off of here. The whiteout looks like it did its job. You know, it's taking a little bit of doing, but it's coming right off. So I went through and made another incision on the other side of the canister. It's working like a charm. This thing's coming right off of here. The whiteout must have worked. So, canister peeled right off. Next time I might use some thinner walled square tubing, but this looks like a solid billet. Let's grind it clean and throw it in the etch. So here's our billet off the grinder, and I'll be darned if that ain't a good piece of steel. A little bit of a cold shut right there, but I can grind that out before I forge it into anything. So now it's time to etch this thing. I've just taken one side up to 120 grit, just because this billet came out a good bit smaller than I thought it would, and it still has to be forged into a knife, so I'm trying to lose as little material as possible, so I'm only going to look at the pattern on this side. Let's throw this baby in the acid. So there you have it. You can kind of see it on this side too. Canister Damascus, made of 1084 and ball bearings, all done by hand. This is another one of those things I've heard people go as far as to say you have to have a press or a power hammer for, but, you know, obviously you're not going to make huge, you know, sword-sized billets, but it definitely can be done. Came out a little smaller than I thought. Also, the pattern is just kind of bleh. I feel like I didn't use enough ball bearings. There's too much of a gap right there where all I have is 1084. It might look a little different once I actually forge it into what it's going to be, but there you go. Proof of concept, Canister Damascus by hand. If you liked what you saw, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll be making something pretty cool out of this in an upcoming video, so stick around the channel. Y'all take care.